Salem City Council will hold a joint public meeting with the Planning Board Monday, March 30th, 2020 at 7 p.m. for the purpose of discussing the 3 zoning ordinance amendments via remote participation in accordance with Chapter 40A of the Massachusetts General Laws and Governor Baker's emergency order dated March 12, 2020. Pursuant to Governor Baker's March 12, 2020 order suspending certain provisions of the open meeting law and the Governor's March 15, 2020 order imposing strict limitations on the number of people that may gather in one place, this joint public hearing of the Salem Council and the Planning Board will be conducted via remote participation to the greatest extent possible. No in-person attendance of members of the public will be permitted, but every effort will be made to ensure that the public can adequately access the proceedings in real time via technology means. In the event that we are unable to do so, despite best efforts, we post on the City of Salem's website an audio or video recording, transcript, or other comprehensive record of the proceedings as soon as possible after the meeting. Individuals may participate remotely in the meeting via a remote participation platform called Zoom, of which, as I can just say, currently, if I go down to my bar and I look at participants, currently there are 61 members of the public, for the record, currently viewing this meeting. If you are on, obviously if you're on Zoom, you entered in through the link. If you're actually watching on SATV or home in the public, SATV is scrolling a toll-free number, 888-475-4499, with the meeting/webinar ID of number 447-831-204, which allows you to participate during the public comment period. Joint public hearing of the Salem City Council and Planning Board was held remotely on May. The purpose of discussing the following 3 separate zoning ordinance amendments relative to accessory dwelling units and inclusionary zoning pursuant to Chapter 40A, Section 5 of the Massachusetts General Laws. The purpose of this public hearing is to provide interested parties with the opportunity to comment on the proposed 3 separate zoning amendments summarized below as follows. Number 1 is an ordinance amending zoning relative to Section 3.1, Table of Principal Accessory Use Regulations. Or number 2 is an ordinance amending zoning ordinance relative to accessory dwelling units in the following 3 ways: amending zoning ordinance, and amending zoning ordinance sections. If you want me to read all of those. And a complete text of the 3 proposed zoning ordinance is available. The 3rd zoning amendment is relative to accessory dwelling units. And the 3rd one is for the, sorry, my page is fell apart over here. Is for the inclusory zoning amendment. Currently we have, if I could, all members of the council are here, I believe. Yep. And at this point, I will, before I have to read one last thing relative to public comment period. Everyone who's watching and listening to the meeting will have the chance to speak. We have a moderator that will identify you either by your name, if you use your device's audio feature in Zoom, or by your area code and the last few numbers of your phone number if you called in on the toll-free number. To unmute and be heard the hearing, if you use your device's audio feature in Zoom, when your name is called, you will need to unmute yourself, go to the microphone picture, and click the to unmute. If you call through the toll-free number, the moderator will unmute you. At any point, if someone begins to speak about issues unrelative to what we're discussing here tonight, or goes into some things that we witnessed the other night on the chat room, which feature has been deleted during this meeting, the moderator has the ability to immediately mute you at any moment. All that being said, here we are. Nice to see all of you, all from your homes. At this point, I will recognize, where is the chair? Ben, if you could, all members of the City Council are present. Ben, if you could introduce the members of the Planning Board that are here.
Well, Bob, I think I could see who's here.
Okay.
So just to chime in, this is Mason Wells, staff for the Planning Board.
Yeah, please help me out here.
There you go. Mason's going to help us.
We have 8 members of the Planning Board present. They are Carol Hamilton, Ben Anderson, DJ Napolitano, Helen Sides, Kurt Reeder, Bill Grissett, Noah Quartz, Matt Smith. Absent, I believe, is Matt Vino.
Mason, Matt Vino just texted me. He was in the not the participant ours, but he was in just the listening one. So I forwarded to him. He's just trying to get into this version as well. So he's listening, but he should be on momentarily.
Okay, thank you.
Let the record also reflect that the mayor is with us, as well as Tom Daniels, and I saw Amanda someplace. There she is, someplace. At this time, Councilor Dibble.
Thank you, Mr. President. I appreciate getting recognized. I hope everybody here in this room and everybody else that you know and love in Salem and are doing well and being safe. Unfortunately, my wife had most likely her third patient. She's a nurse at Salem Hospital. Third patient died on her yesterday. She is dealing with a little bit of stress. So it's a stressful time as we're going through the beginning of this emergency. And I cite the beginning of this emergency. So again, I hope and trust that you're all doing well. There are quite a few members of the public that have reached out to us, city councilors, that are not able to get access to this meeting by way of Zoom, that would like to be able to hear the proceedings. I think that, in short, this is the wrong time to hold this meeting. We're at the beginning of an emergency. Zoning is permanent. There's really no rush to have this done. There's no reason why we can't wait a month or two, preferably 2 months, I think, to hold this meeting so that we can all do research on this ordinance, reach out to other cities and towns to see what they have on their books and compare. Right now, we can't reach out to other cities and towns. They're all closed like we are, basically. Not fully closed, but 99% closed. I think it's the wrong time to be having this meeting. Zoning is permanent. We should not take this lightly. I'm asking that we not open up this meeting tonight, although it's open, not have a presentation by the planning board and not have public comment until such time. I'm gonna propose a date, because we have to move it to a date certain, that we postpone this and continue this meeting now before we have any presentations, so that we're further into this emergency, maybe hopefully out of this emergency zone, or we're more comfortable with this emergency that's happening right now and growing. So with that, I'd like to make a motion that this joint public hearing be continued to Monday. And that we have to make it to a date certain. So open up your calendars, folks, to Monday, May 18th at 7:00 p.m., the year 2020.
I second that motion.
On the motion,
On the motion by Council Dibble, seconded by Councilor Sargent. Any further discussion?
on the motion.
Unfortunately, DJ, this part is in front of the council at this point.
Wait, but I thought it's a joint hearing.
Yeah, but the council gets to weigh in on that first. So I'm going to deal with the council.
Okay.
I believe we're asking for a roll call vote on that also.
Councilor Dominguez.
Thank you, Mr. President, and I wanted to echo.
Councilor Dominguez, you muted yourself. Still, Councilor Dominguez, you're still muted. There you go. Oh. Councilor Dominguez is having an audio problem at this time. We'll go to any other member of the council who wishes to speak at this point. Councilor Flynn.
I just wanted to echo that too, that I'd like a roll call vote. I didn't know if you could hear that. Thank you.
Nope, I heard that. Thank you. Anyone else? Councilor Prosnowski. Councilor Prosnowski, you need to unmute yourself, please, sir.
I'm sorry, can you hear me now?
Gotcha. Thank you.
Okay. Mr. President, with all due respect, I know that we've all gathered here to get information on this subject, and I'm not opposed to postponing this meeting, because I too am in agreement that this isn't quite the arena to be able to voice public opinion on a fair basis for the entire public. However, because we all are here, and I may not only be speaking for myself, but some of the other new councilors, I would still like to continue this meeting and hear what the planning board has to say, what the mayor has to say, and everybody else, to kind of bring us up to speed on where we are. I just don't want to dismiss this night as a wasted opportunity to gather information. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilor. Anyone else? Eileen, am I missing somebody that's got their hand up? I can't, right now I don't have the whole screen in front of me. Oh, wait, hold on, I got it. I figured it out. Oh, look at that.
Not seeing anybody.
Nope, I didn't see it. No one else has a comment this time. I will say, look at that, I figured that out. For prior to the vote, it's going to be a roll call vote. So Eileen, I'll give Eileen a second. This is going to be a little different than the other night because Eileen's going to have to tell me what the vote is. Actually, I'll record it as I'm doing it. But I will say that I had an in-depth conversation with Council Dibble on Friday relative to this matter, and I explained to him everything that these matters had been brought in front of us 2 months ago. For the first one, we each received a timeline of when they were brought in. One was brought in at the end of January. One was brought in at the beginning of February. At that point, none of us knew how this was going to escalate. The matter was voted on by the city council to schedule a joint public hearing, and the only people that can move to extend the public hearing or to continue to another date is the city council, because we have that ability, because we're the ones who scheduled it in conjunction with the planning board. All that being said, I also, at any point, I personally agree with Councilor Prosnowski. I think that we're all here. We have a unique opportunity, and as I scan down, I'm looking at 94 participants in this meeting. So if you subtract out all of us, there's 60 members of the public that are waiting to hear about this, and that could take this information. Is because I heard Councilor Dominguez, I see, I'll take care of you in 1 second, that I see, I read all the emails that people sent to us today relative to some wanting lessons on how to use Zoom. I mean, we provided alternate opportunities for them to participate. I'll be curious to see how many people have participated through SATV with a dial-up number after the meeting. I think we've given a lot of people a lot of opportunity. I agree with Councilor Prosnowski that at this point, I'd be more inclined to hear the presentation. And at that point, if we want to continue the three matters, I would entertain that motion at that point. But for the purpose of us being here tonight, I think it does us no harm. We're all here to open the meeting and hear what the proposals are. That being said, when it comes to the point, I want to be clear that there's three matters in front of us. And some people have expressed concern about the size of the inclusionary zoning ordinance matter. At that point, the items could be split, and the two matters relative to ADUs could be taken up at one public hearing, and then the matter of the inclusionary zoning ordinance could be taken up at another. That's my thoughts on it, but at this time, I will recognize Councilor Dominguez, who hopefully figured out his mute button.
Thank you. Can you hear me now, Mr. President?
I've got you. Thank you, Council.
Thank you, and I apologize. I don't know what happened. I'm not too ten.
We're all figuring it out.
But I wanted to express myself because I think this is very important. I was about to say that I'm in agreement with Councilor Dibble. I feel that we're sending the wrong message to the whole world. We are in a crisis right now where we're losing a lot of people, a lot of life. I even have some family members already impacted by this crisis. My mind is not into making any decision at one point or another. And I feel that a lot of people is in the same boat. We need to respect this time that we are right now and making sure that we really combine and get together and try to fight this crisis. We affect everyone, doesn't discriminate. So basically, my point and my concern is that we need to put a hold on this meeting, make sure that we really take care of what we have in front. If we lose our life, we don't want to have no zoning, we don't want to have no ADU, we don't want to have anything. And for the record, I'm one in favor of the ADU new proposal, but I cannot guarantee you that at this point I'm going to be able to listen well and be able to express myself and also be able to make any decision based on the situation we are right now. We are a very strong country, and I think that we had to stay together, and I don't think that this is the right time to have any meetings that doesn't is related to what we are facing right now. So thank you, Mr. President.
Thank you. Anyone else? Councilor Hapworth.
Yeah, I just wanted to, and thank you, Mr. President. there is no guarantee that any date in the future is going to be sufficient. And I think that we're in a new normal right now, and this is something that we're not making a decision tonight. We're seeking information tonight, but if you look a month down, 2 months down into the future, things could be worse here that we're dealing with. It's uncertain, I think, right now. And I don't think we have, if this were something where we could say, yeah, two months from now, let's set a date. We'll be out of this by then. I don't think we're in that place right now. I think the city's done a great job providing a very accessible means of communication. You can get here by phone. You can get here through Zoom. It's on SATV right now. There's a lot of methods to make your voice heard here in Salem right now. And I'm also of the mindset of Councilor Prosnewski, where I recognize that this is not going to be closed tonight. This is probably going to continue on into the future. And I think we can take whatever hiccups or learnings we have tonight and think about them, and as we continue this hearing on into the future.
Thank you, Council. Anyone else? Council Madore.
Thank you, Mr. President. I think we're all feeling the shock of this very acute crisis, and naturally to respond to that kind of crisis that feels enormous magnitude is to not think of anything else. I think the crisis definitely warrants serious response, and we're really grateful of all the leadership in the city that is responding to local needs. But it can undermine the other crises that have been going on for several years, maybe not as acutely, but I would argue that this pandemic has actually deepened the crisis that we're experiencing with housing affordability. Throughout the public hearings on ADUs and other issues related to affordable housing, we kept saying that a lot of people who rent are just one crisis away from being homeless. And I think that crisis, after the pandemic is over, after we're all allowed to go outdoors, the housing crisis is here to stay. And I think we need to recognize that right now, in this moment, we're doing the proactive work of preparing for this ongoing crisis. And the fact that we have, I think I heard 94 people right now that's watching us online says a lot about whether people are interested in listening. Maybe they don't have the capacity to offer comments or maybe think about how to move forward, but we can't just say we're here, we want to continue and let this opportunity slip away. And again, just want to remind everyone that this is the first of many public hearings to come, and it does not preclude people from still writing us and continue to participate, whether through Zoom in a future Zoom meeting or a future public meeting in a matter that we have been used to holding in council chambers. It does not eliminate or replace any of those other meeting formats. And I just want to actually congratulate everyone for being here tonight under these circumstances. This is historic and unprecedented, and we need to take advantage of this opportunity and start the hearing.
Thank you, Councilor. Any other member of the council? Councilor Flynn.
Thank you, Mr. President. I have to strongly agree with Councilor Dominguez on this. That's great if we got 80, 90 people that are watching this now, but what about the ones that can't or don't have the technology to be able to understand what's going on? I think it would be an injustice to go forward and have a presentation today when we're not giving some people the ability to watch this for whatever reason, if they can't afford a phone, if they don't have computers, if they're elderly and they don't know how to hook onto this. And I think we're setting a bad example with what's going on in this day and age. A zoning issue, everything that's going on right now, I think the zoning issue, we could wait and set it to a date certain a little further down the line and see how things are then. I pray that things are better then, but to do this tonight is not fair to the people we represent. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilor Torrio.
Thank you, Mr. President. Just to remind everybody, this is on SATV right now, the same place it traditionally has been. So the people who can watch it on SATV still can watch it on SATV. They're being given a crawl with the phone number to call in if they choose to as well. And they can also participate through Zoom. So if anything, especially given the schedules people follow nowadays. If anything, doing it this way is likely to increase participation over what we traditionally get at where when we have these joint public hearings, I can predict within, depending on the topic, I can predict within a handful of people difference who's going to be there, who's going to speak, what they're going to say, and all the same stuff. This is actually expanding our audience beyond what we're used to seeing. And no, we don't have people physically in the room with us. And no, we're all not in the room together. We're in this virtual room. And despite what we know, kind of the inevitability of the traditional way we've done this, that's still the way I would prefer to be doing it. But we're in a time where we have a matter that's come in. As was pointed out, this came in a couple of months. These have been with us for about a month and a half at this point. And we've had time to study this. We've had time to learn about it, some ourselves. I know I've read all this material more than once. And, tonight is just the time to get this process started. As has been said, this will probably not be the only meeting we hold. I never for a moment thought it would be likely that we would finish tonight and go to a vote. But this may be multiple sessions that are online. This may be sessions that wind up being in person. This may not finish for a while. We don't have a clock until we close the public hearing. So I'm all for continuing on this path, see where it gets us, see how far we can get, and move forward. And move the question, please.
Thank you. Any other member of the council? Hold on, Council Dibble, you already spoke. Let me just, I gotta go to my other page. Anyone else in the council? Seeing none. Before I open back to Council Dibble, is there any, the planning department took the time, the planning board took the time to come here tonight. Any member of the planning board want to weigh in on this? I want to say council, sorry. DJ Napolitano.
Thank you for the promotion. That was very nice. I just agree. I just want to echo what some of the other people have said. We are all here. This is not the first meeting we have on this. There are at least two additional meetings, one before the planning board and one again before the city council before you would have to vote on it. Possibly even three, because I'm assuming it would go to committee after the planning board would vote on it. When we have these meetings, when we did this the first time last session, there are, I'm sure, plenty of people who cannot make those meetings at City Hall for various reasons, whether that be scheduling, physical limitations, they're elderly, whatever the list of concerns that the other counselors expressed. This allows them to do this in the comfort of their home, allows them to listen on SATV, and still allows them to write in via the normal way that we always have gotten comments online. I know a number of the counselors said that they have gotten these ordinance before them. So I think, we are here, we are moving forward. We could be in this situation until next year. Who knows how long this is going to last? So I think to put off city business, whether you think it is essential or not, is not a good precedent to send to the residents of Salem. We are here. We have been either appointed or elected to do a job, and we should all, as city council and planning board members, be able to show empathy to what is going on here in Salem and across the country and across the world, and also be able to do business at the same time. So I would hope, and this is more of a clarification question. Does the planning board get a vote on whether or not we are going to continue this tonight, or is that strictly a council vote?
That's strictly a council vote, because the way it's set up is it would be a vote to continue the public hearing. It becomes a strictly planning board matter when the public hearing is closed and the matter is referred back to the planning board for their deliberation.
Okay. So as a resident of the city, I would ask the city council to not vote to continue this tonight, that we actually start this process and allow people to view the presentation and then hold open the meeting at the end of it. So thank you, President McCarthy, for allowing me to speak. Thank you.
Yep, no problem. Any other member of the planning board? Matt Smith.
Yeah, hi. I would actually like to second what DJ just said. I think this is a great opportunity to start the discussion. Part of what we also have to relate to with what's going on is about community resilience, which is about many things. And one of those is our ability to bounce back after a crisis. And so if you really look at this, affordable housing is probably going to be an even bigger issue after this, given the many jobs that are being lost and those concerns of people being able to pay rent. So if we lose this opportunity with all these people gathered and all these people who've called in to give comments with more ability to do so, I think it would be really, it would be a disservice to the community itself. I think actually using Zoom in these many different options, as people have already said, is opening this forum up to more people. And I know that we typically have those who are at every meeting, and as Counselor said, you can pretty much name who they are. There's probably more people here who are able to actually participate meaningfully than usually can. So let's not get rid of that opportunity. Let's actually learn about this. Let's have a discussion and then keep it open so that we can have further discussion going forward. But thank you.
Thank you. Any other member of the planning board? Let me just click over here. Ellen, did you have your hand up?
I'm just agreeing with what Matt has said and what Christine said and DJ.
Okay.
I'm in agreement with moving forward.
Anyone else? We're going to go, no other members of the planning board. We're going to go back to the council, and Councilor Dibble had his hand up first, then Councilor Dominguez again. Councilor Dibble.
Thank you, Mr. President. I like the discussion we're at least having on this. These are important matters in a very important and emergency period that we're in right now. We're unable to really reach out and have good discussions with department heads. We're unable certainly to reach out to other cities and towns to do research to see what they have on their books. We're really unable to do research on this. But I have heard from quite a few people by way of text, by way of phone calls, by way of email, all different ways that they are against opening this meeting tonight. From two former city councilors saying this is just bad practice. And I happen to agree with them. There's from when we look at the last couple of joint public hearings that we had on zoning matters, the lion's share of those in attendance were not all young people. There were a lot of older people coming with wisdom and giving their side, giving their ideas to us and helping us come up with a better product. A couple of the last zoning changes that we had were, I'll be polite, were fairly poorly written and poorly researched. And they were both defeated. They were reshaped and brought back before us. To have the municipal and religious building having things in there like as tall as the tallest building on the same property, things like that written into an ordinance were really poor. I'm not a zoning expert, but I have had some schooling, undergraduate level in city planning and in zoning. I like to do my research on things. I'm really unable to do any research till we make sure that we get this right. Like I said earlier, zoning is permanent. And to have people excluded from this, excluded from hearing the presentation that's about to happen, excluded from hearing the public testimony that will probably follow that presentation, is just wrong during an emergency like this. Yes, a month or 2 months from now, we may be worse off, we might be better, but we'll be more comfortable with this COVID-19 emergency that's happening right now. So I think we need to do this and do it right. And I've sat on the Affordable Housing Trust Fund for the board for the last year and heard countless meetings on the need for affordable housing, and I agree with that. But at the same time, during that meeting, we had one of those meetings, we had talked about our zoning enforcement officer and our building inspector and our zoning board, our zoning experts, if you would, to look at these ordinances. And as of 2 weeks ago, they still hadn't received it. It's been months now since we made that claim that it was going to go to them for review. Just like the municipal and religious building ordinance, our zoning enforcement officer had never seen it. We sat down and met. We found all sorts of trouble and questions with this. Just like the ADU last year, our zoning enforcement officer once again did not receive a draft copy of this. And I sat down with him and our planner who's here. I'm wondering if our zoning enforcement officer, our building inspector is here at this meeting, Mr. President.
Council Dibble, he wouldn't be here. He's not a member of the planning board. This is a joint public hearing between the city council and the planning board. He's not an invited person. He's a member of the public and he can show up if he's willing to.
Well, I'm
but he's
looking at
not
our
required to be.
Thank you. I'm looking at our city planner and other members of the planning board staff that help write this, but the zoning enforcement officer, our building inspector, is the one that is going to have to follow this and deal with the repercussions. And it was agreed to that he would get a copy of this in advance. He hasn't yet. I'd like to hear his comments, be able to sit down with him and hear his input before, so that I can do a better job and make sure we get this right and answer questions based upon what presentation is happening here tonight. To do this and to exclude a lion's share of people who have been at the last couple of public hearings because they cannot do this Zoom hearing is just wrong. And again, my motion stands. I think we need to continue this to a date certain, and I have proposed May 18th, 2020. We have an emergency now, and there's no reason at all why we can't wait a little bit longer and have this heard properly. Thank you.
Council, I will say that if anyone's reached out to you via text, email, or through any other medium, they have the ability to watch this meeting or participate. If they're home watching on SATV, they can call in. I did it myself today. I want to give kudos to Eileen and her staff and the planning board and their staff. We set up a practice meeting this afternoon. And while I was in the meeting in one of these squares, I took my cell phone out and actually called in via the instructions, and I was able to get in as an attendee. So there is an ability for people to participate. We're in uncharted territory, but you've had your say, and I appreciate that. And I only have one person left to recognize as Councilor Dominguez, then we're going to take a vote. Councilor Dominguez, one last time, please, sir.
Thank you, Mr. President. I'm going to be brief. I know that I already mentioned, but I just wanted to make sure that we have the clear picture exactly of where I am based on my comment that I made. I am in favor of getting any solution to the issue that we're facing, issue that we know is going to be deeply after the crisis. But at this point, I don't think that it's appropriate to have any discussion on any matter not related to where we are right now. I think that as a city, we should be focusing on some other topics that are more important at this point to make sure that we can move forward. I say, and I repeat myself, if we cannot take care of the landlords, I mean, we're going to have a crisis. People are not going to be able to pay the rents, maybe. People are going to be able to pay the mortgages. We need to talk about that at this moment right now, and then we can talk about any other topic. If we can postpone this meeting, would be great. I am in favor of finding some solution for the ADU or any related affordable housing components. But this is the wrong time, and I'm not in favor to continue with the meeting. Thank you.
Thank you. Seeing no one else, Madam City Clerk, will you please call the roll?
Councilor Dibble?
No.
So the way the question is worded,
Yeah,
have,
could we, the way the
I'm sorry,
question is
Madam
worded,
President, I could barely hear you.
someone
the way
please
the
mute
question-
whoever's got the kids in the background?
Not me. We have a motion on the table that the joint public hearing be continued to Monday, May 18th, 2020 at 7:00 PM.
So Council Dibble, if I can correct you before I record your vote, the motion on your motion is to continue to a date certain, so you would be a yes.
Yes, thank you.
Thank you. So if you want to continue to a date certain and not open up this meeting tonight, you're a yes. If you want to continue with the presentation, you're a no. Madam City Clerk, please continue, please.
Councilor Dibble,
He was a yes.
Councilor Dominguez,
Yes.
Councilor Flynn,
Absolutely, yes.
Councilor Hapworth,
No.
Councilor Madore,
No.
Councilor Masillo,
Councilman Masillo, could you hit your mute bar, please?
No.
Thank you.
Councilor Prosnewski,
No.
Councilor Riccardi,
No.
Counselor Sargent,
Yes.
Counselor Torrio,
No.
and Counselor McCarthy.
No. In the matter of continuing the meeting to a date certain of May 18th, I believe it was, or 12th, whatever the date was.
Yep, May 18th.
May 18th, we have 11 members voting, 7 in the negative and 4 in the positive. The matter does not carry. At this point, the meeting will remain open, and I will now entertain the mayor to begin her presentation with the planning department. Tom and Amanda are here as well. So if you will, Mayor Driscoll, please.
Great. Thank you, Council President McCarthy, and thanks to everyone for participating remotely. My list has us at 64 attendees beyond all of us as panelists, so that would have been a pretty crowded council chamber right now. I just want to be really brief, and I'll turn it over to staff, both Tom Daniel and Amanda Ciancola, who've worked really hard on both of these proposals. Both of the items before you, the accessory dwelling unit and the inclusionary zoning ordinance, have been endorsed by the Affordable Housing Trust Fund Board. And in fact, these were strategies that emanated from our community forums that we held in 2019, designed to identify tools to address our community affordable housing needs. I also want to be clear to make sure we're framing this in the sort of manner of the tools that we're looking at. These are certainly 2 policy tools. They come on the heels of the reuse of the religious building ordinance that was put forward last year. Inclusionary housing and accessory dwelling units were 2 other items that were identified in these community forums as tools, policy tools that we would want to try and move forward with. In addition to looking at policies, though, I know many of you know we're also really interested in projects. So we are working hard to look at ways we can leverage public land that we have, public spaces, working closely with partners at both the Housing Authority, North Shore CDC, and other community housing partners, because our end goal here is obviously to deliver units. We know how long it can take to get a project off the ground, even when you own the land. Perfect examples of that are just the religious buildings. We're all excited about the reuse of the Immaculate Conception, Old St. Mary's School, Old Boys and Girls Club, and the St. James School. Those buildings are being redeveloped by the North Shore Community Development Coalition, but they're also many years away from happening. One of the things that's exciting about the opportunity for accessory dwelling units is these are things that might be able to assist us with developing affordable units sooner. Individuals who may have space that they could convert over within their existing confines, garages, carriage houses. We know, frankly, there are several accessory dwelling units that exist in terms of grandfathered uses that people have converted for many years ago. We're hoping that we can have this zoning tool to make it easier to do that going forward. I also should point out the accessory dwelling unit, as has been mentioned, that ordinance was previously before the council. What has been submitted actually has 8 co-sponsors. So many councilors, I think, understand the nature of this ordinance and the need for it, and have already signified support by being part of a group co-sponsoring this effort. The inclusionary zoning is something we work really closely with MAPC, the Metropolitan Area Planning Council, to really make sure we're thinking about the formula that we're applying. We have the planning board, with their good work, has been incorporating inclusionary zoning in many of the projects that are under construction now. So when we think about the courthouse project, or Flint Street, the corner of Flint and Mason, or the recently completed Flintan sites, all of them did include a 10% affordability at 80% of area median income. The beauty of the inclusionary zoning ordinance is we really fine-tuned it to make sure it will better serve the affordable needs of our community. So you're going to see a lower ratio there. And lastly, I just want to put a finer point on the need for this. I mean, this week in particular, the last 2 weeks, we're working directly with homeless families right now, who are, at home, kind of sheltering in place, with students that don't have school to attend to on a regular basis. This is a severe need in our community, and it's only going to get worse post-COVID-19. So I know that we've had a spirited back and forth about whether to proceed and when to proceed. There's no expectation that there's going to be any votes tonight. This is a new tool. I think it's actually a tool that we'll have with us after post-COVID-19 as a means to keep people informed and engaged about what might be happening. and allows access for folks who, may not have childcare or may not want to sit in our council chambers for a couple of hours. So I'm looking forward to us finding ways to use these tools, making sure they're fair, but most importantly, I need to put a fine point on these needs are real and they're urgent. We have seniors who are looking for housing. We have families who are sheltering in place in motels, in multiple family shelters. And it's an urgent need for us to try and address this. These are policies and tools, and I'm glad we could at least get it started with the expectation the dialogue will continue and hopefully lead to adoption at an appropriate time. I'm going to stop there and turn this over to Tom Daniel and Amanda Ciancola, who have done the lion's share of work, and just say that I'm so proud of their work, their effort, and this is the first of many opportunities for us to talk about affordable housing and these particular policies. Thank you.
Thank you, Mayor. Before we allow Tom and Amanda, Tom, if we could just limit our comments initially for the first part of this would be the first two relative to the zoning ordinance to the Council Order number 74 and Council Order number 75. Thank you.
Sure, very good. Thank you, Mr. President, members of the Council and Planning Board. I'm going to be just super brief and turn things over to Amanda to walk through the ADU portion of it. And I just wanted to put this a little bit in context of the time, building from the work that the Planning Board had been doing on its own. A little over 2 years ago, we submitted a grant application. We're successful in getting funding to actually develop a smart inclusionary zoning ordinance. By smart, I mean something that was tailored to Salem and just not kind of a generic off-the-shelf ordinance. We started working with MAPC later in 2018. A little over a year ago in March, we had our big initial public meeting over at the Community Life Center, where in addition to inclusionary zoning, people in the community prioritized work on the accessory dwelling units, as well as publicly owned land as two other strategies to pursue as on a priority basis. So we added that in. We added in the ADU. As you know, we put something forward last year. What's before you tonight is largely the same as that, with some additional tools outside of the ordinance. And all through 2019, working with MAPC was extensive research of national best practices, Massachusetts best practices, other communities, and also, again, looking at data for Salem. So I'm going to pause there and turn things over to Amanda, who will now focus on the accessory dwelling unit ordinance. Thank you.
Thank you. Amanda.
Hi there. Can you hear me?
Yep.
Okay. Hi. So for those who don't know me, my name is Amanda Ciancola. I'm a planner with the City of Salem. I'm going to go through a quick overview of the accessory dwelling unit ordinance. So Mason, if you can flip the slide. Oops, what did I do?
There you
go. So the first is, what is an accessory dwelling unit? An accessory dwelling unit is a residential living unit that's on the same property as another home. Accessory dwelling units, you'll also hear me refer to them as ADUs for short, or some people refer to them as granny units, in-law apartments, second units. They go by many, many names. I have some pictures on the bottom just to show you the general examples of various forms an ADU could take. Typically, you'll see it repurposed in an internal space. So that's the first picture. You could see the blue area. It could be in an attic or a repurposed basement. It could also be an accessory unit that's attached to a home as an addition, or it could be a detached structure, so similar to a carriage home as a separate structure. Mason, can you flip the slide? Thank you. The current ordinance, the city has an accessory dwelling unit ordinance. They're currently referred to as accessory living areas. But as I mentioned, they go by many names. It's the same thing. It's an accessory dwelling unit. The current ordinance was adopted in January of 2018. And here's some key points to that current ordinance, is that it's limited to caretakers and family members. So that means that the only people who are allowed to live in an ADU are people who are related to the homeowner or who care for the homeowner. It requires a special permit from the Zoning Board of Appeals, and that unit must be removed when the tenant leaves. It's the unit is tied to the tenant. Mason, can you go to the next slide? So I'm going to go through the nuts and bolts of the proposed ordinance. The first recommendation is to amend the purpose, and this amended purpose was drafted last year through the Planning Board's recommendation, but it really is key. The reason we're proposing to change the ordinance is to add rental units to the housing stock to meet the needs of smaller households and make housing units available to households who might otherwise have difficulty finding housing. So everything that we're proposing to change is to go back to that key purpose. And to do that, one of the recommendations is to remove the tenant restrictions. The current regulations are just very limiting in that only caretakers and family members are allowed to rent a unit. So we can't meet that purpose of creating rental options if the only people who are allowed to live in the unit are people who have the benefit of a family who can accommodate them. I'd also note this isn't a novel new idea that Salem came up with. It's a lot of other communities are allowing units to be rented by people other than family members. As of July 2018, 37 out of 100 cities and communities just surrounding Boston allow for ADUs to be rented out without a tenant restriction. Another recommendation in the ordinance is to allow accessory units in multifamily homes, but only in buildings with 4 or fewer units. And then also, we're proposing to amend the special permit process to be changed. For those who are not familiar with what a special permit is, it's a discretionary approval upon a board. In this case, it's the Zoning Board of Appeals. It requires that the Zoning Board of Appeals exercise judgment of specific criteria. For example, how does the proposal impact neighborhood character? It also requires a public hearing with notifications to the neighbors. So that means that if you're applying for an accessory unit now, all of your neighbors know about it, it's published in the paper, it goes to a hearing, and a board of people decide whether it impacts neighborhood character among other criteria. And the ZBA may impose conditions on approval they deem necessary to protect the health, safety, and general welfare of the public. And that's a really good option to mitigate neighborhood concerns. However, special permits are also seen risky by homeowners because it's not as of right. It's something that, again, it's discretionary. So the idea here is to mitigate neighborhood concerns on the front end. And if they're all mitigated on the front end, allow a building permit to be issued instead of going through that special permit. So Mason, can you flip the slide? The amended process we're recommending is actually 2 paths. The first path is if you meet all of the standards, and those standards are ways to mitigate issues to neighborhood character, then you can get a building permit and you can build your unit. But if you do not meet any of those standards, then you need to go to the Zoning Board of Appeals. So I'll go through those standards. The first one is that you provide an on-site parking space for the accessory unit and you meet the required parking for the primary home. The second is that you do not, the accessory dwelling unit does not exceed 800 square feet. And then the third is that the accessory dwelling unit does not have a net loss of trees. And then if you meet all of those criteria, the ADU, you can get a building permit. However, if the accessory unit is more than 800 square feet, you could propose up to 1,000 square feet, but only by special permit, and there has to be something peculiar about the home. So let's say you have a basement unit that's 900 square feet, and it'd be a really oddball thing to put in a wall to close off that 100 feet, and it doesn't impact neighborhood character. The zoning board could make that finding and allow it through a waiver rather than through a special permit rather than variance, which is a lower bar. But maybe it does impact neighborhood character. It completely depends on the situation. And so that's where you have that zoning board process to determine whether the permit would be granted. So that's the proposed process. Mason, can you flip the slide, please? As I mentioned earlier, the idea is for neighborhood concerns to be mitigated on the front end. And some of the ways the neighborhood concerns are addressed are through design. So here are some of the design requirements. I'm going to read all of these because there's some folks who are listening and not watching. A new front door is not allowed. So that means the entrance has to be through either an existing door, a side door, or a rear door. The accessory dwelling unit cannot exceed 1.5 stories. The accessory dwelling unit cannot exceed 18 feet in height. It must comply with the setbacks of the underlying zone. So the primary home has setbacks, and that's what the underlying zone and setbacks are. If the primary home doesn't comply with the underlying setbacks, the accessory dwelling unit will still have to comply with the underlying setbacks. And the ADU must be smaller than the primary home. So it cannot be more than 800 square feet unless by special permit, but it also has to be smaller than the primary home. Mason, can you go to the next slide? So then a key factor of accessory dwelling units is that they are accessory, and that has real meaning here. The word accessory in accessory dwelling unit is because it's secondary to the primary home. In the same way, a garage is accessory. You wouldn't have a garage on a lot without a primary home. The owner of the home, the primary home, must live on the property. They can live in the primary home or they can live in the accessory dwelling unit, but they have to live there. The accessory unit can never be sold separately. It is always tied together with the primary home. And the utilities must be on a single service, because again, this is just accessory to that primary home. So that's really the nuts and bolts of the accessory dwelling unit ordinance. I do want to note that accessory dwelling units are an opportunity for private homeowners to create naturally occurring affordable units with no public subsidy. And I'm calling this naturally affordable because a basement apartment typically rents for less than what you would see, for example, in a downtown loft or in other areas of the city. Units in the basement just don't have the same amenities as some of these other buildings have. And so they rent for less. That's naturally occurring affordable with no public subsidies. That said, we also have supplemental programs that are included as a package with this ordinance. One of them is a tax incentive for homeowners who want to create a restricted unit. If they, with this tax incentive, if the unit is restricted as affordable, then for that year, you would get a tax, you wouldn't have to pay taxes on the portion of your home that's the accessory dwelling unit. Another incentive is a loan pool, and that would be you get a loan from the city to create an accessory dwelling unit. In return, that unit has to be restricted as affordable. So those are incentives to create restricted units. And that is the conclusion of my presentation, but I'm available for questions.
Mason, could we get down the, there you go, thank you. Tom, do you have anything to add to that? Let the record reflect that Councilor Vino, member of the planning board, is now with us.
I'm all set, President McCarthy. Thank you.
You're all set with that? Okay. We'll start with members of the city council. I saw Councilor Hapworth have his hand up first. Councilor Hapworth.
Thank you, Mr. President. Just a point of clarification. I think there was some conversation around setbacks and whether the, I think I heard you say, Amanda, that the new unit would have to comply with the existing setbacks, not just the setbacks that the current building was complying.
You have to, the accessory dwelling unit has to comply with the setbacks of the underlying zoning.
Got it. So even if the current house was built prior to those setbacks, setback requirements, the new unit would have to comply with the. Got it. Thank you.
Correct.
You, Councilor Dominguez.
Thank you, Mr. President. To you, Amanda. I recall when I saw some of the presentation on the affordable component, there was a table that shows exactly what is the level of affordability that we as a city will mandate on on any ADU. Do you have that with your presentation that you can elaborate a little bit more about it? If you don't mind.
Sure. You're stealing my thunder for the inclusionary zoning presentation. I have a chart there that shows the various income levels. So what you're speaking to are the supplemental programs to incentivize affordable accessory dwelling units. So a homeowner, if they wanted to get a tax incentive, they would have to restrict that unit as affordable. And the same thing with the loan program. The city is going to provide money to create an accessory dwelling unit. That unit has to be restricted as affordable. Both of those affordability levels would be 60% of the area median income. So that means that the household cannot earn more than 60% of the area median income. And I can pull up those numbers. And the unit cannot be rented for more than 60%, what a fair market rent is for 60% area median income.
You all set with that, Counselor? You have another question?
Yeah, I just wanted to see the table. At one point I saw that table and I want to make sure that I had that be included in what we are discussing right now. I don't see that piece right now, and that's for me is very important. I need to know, based on previous conversation, that we're going to maintain the level of affordability for the resident of Salem. We are bringing the tools that essentially we wanted to be used for affordable, and we wanted to make sure that that piece is in there. So I don't see that. When I saw the presentation, you mentioned 2 of the 3 components that are different from the previous presentation that it was submitted before when we voted for. And the reason why I'm in favor of this new proposed is because of these 3 components. I only saw 2 of them. If you don't mind, I want to see the third one, which to me make a lot of sense for the most needed one in Salem, where we really, at least I understand that we really looking forward to alleviate the most. So if you have that table that I saw before, I want to make sure that I see it. And not only I see it, but I want to see everybody to see it, the general public. So we presented to the general public that we have a component here that's going to alleviate the situation.
Amanda, is that in the I mean, I know the presentation you just gave was a PowerPoint overview. Is that in the detailed language of the ordinance itself?
No, Mason.
I think Ton has something similar to what I saw. I think that's what I mean.
Mm-hmm.
You have that table with you, Amanda? Ton Daniel, I think he has it.
President.
Mason, could you bring back the PowerPoint?
I'm pulling it up right now. I'm just hitting some internet slowdowns, but I'll have that up in just 1 second.
Okay, thanks.
Tom Daniels, while we're waiting. Tom.
Yeah, I just wanted to draw people's attention to the mayor's submission on February 13th. There was a cover letter that included the whole package of the ordinance along with the loan program and the tax exemption. That document has, I think, what Councilor Dominguez is looking for, which is the income limitations for 1 person, 2 person, or 3 people, as well as the rent, maximum rent for a 1 person, 2 person, or 3 person household. And there's the more complete table. So I'll turn it over to Amanda.
There it is.
So this table has a lot more than what the supplemental, this was to compare for inclusionary zoning. But the supplemental programs that we talked about, the loan program and the tax incentive, will be affordable to households at 60% area median income. And these units rent to smaller households because they're small units. And so you typically would see a 2-bedroom, maybe a 1-bedroom. 2-bedroom would be maximum. So, but you'll see income limit at 60% in the middle of the table. So if it's a single person, one person, the maximum they can make is $49,800. The maximum rent, including utilities that could be charged, is $1,245. The sale is moot because the unit can never be sold separately. For a for a one bedroom, and that's two people, the maximum income would be $56,880. Maximum rent, including utilities, is $1,333. And then for a two bedroom, and that would really be pushing it, but it'd go up to two bedrooms, three people, that's $64,020 with a maximum rent at $1,600, again, including utilities. These rents are based off of 2019 information. It will likely go up a little bit with 2020 numbers that typically come out at the end of March from the Department of Housing and Community Development. Those numbers have not been published yet.
Amanda, could you have Mason go back to the PowerPoint presentation that you showed earlier and then go to slide 5, I want to say? One more. There was, you keep going. There was one, it was in 5 or 6. It was one I think we got, it had a chart on it. I don't know where it was. It was towards the beginning.
All right, I'm pulling it up. It'll be up in just 1 second.
Yep. Keep going. Keep going.
Oh, that's the start of it, but.
Yep, go ahead, go start again. Yep, go to the second one. Third. Fourth. Fifth. Sixth. I thought when you were flipping through them earlier, I thought I saw a chart. That's why I think that's what Councilor Dominguez was looking for, but I don't see it.
Can I make a point of clarification?
Yep.
Thank you, Mr. President. What I want to say is that the numbers associated with this are not part of the zoning ordinance. That's part of the tax break that we're looking to offer. An owner of a property is free under this to charge whatever they like market-wise for their ADU. However, we are proposing, and we have it as a separate order that I believe is before OLA right now. We have the proposal that ties the property tax break to the rents and affordability, and a certification that the renter is in fact somebody who's at that 60% AMI level and the rents are appropriate. And then the other thing that we were putting in through order was to create the loan program and also have that tied to affordability. So there's no requirement of affordability with this, but their hope is that the market would tend to rent these at lower prices, and then there are tax and loan incentives to encourage people to create these and keep them affordable.
Thank you, Council. I just pulled up what you were talking about with the tax incentive property tax exemption on the ADU. With one person, it's $49,008. We'll make sure that everyone gets this information. Two people, it's $56,880. Three person, $64,20. And then the rent would be for a one person would be $1,245. Two people, $1,333. And if you had three people, it'd be $1,600. That's all part of what Councilor Terrio just referred to. And being the chair of this meeting at the time, I'd like to first say I'm probably the only one that should be communicating with anyone via my personal device, because it is a public meeting. I mean, we shouldn't be communicating with each other or members of the public while this meeting's going on. But I was just communicated with because of the unique nature of this is the fact that for whatever reason we asked SATV to broadcast the call-in number and the ID number, and it is now no longer on the bottom of the screen. So for anyone at home who's listening on SATV, and if we do get to that portion of the meeting tonight, and they would like to call in, I'm just going to repeat the number right now. The number is 1-888-475-4499. Once again, the toll-free number is 1-888-475-4499. And then you'll be asked to prompt to give your ID number. which is the meeting ID number, which in this case would be 447-831-204. And then you'll be given a couple prompts to follow, and then you'll be in the attendee portion of this meeting. All that being said, Mason, can we pull down the presentation again so we can all see each other? If you would, thank you. That being said, any further member of the council have a question relative to this matter? We go to look at the rest of them, guys. Anyone have a question for Amanda or Tom or the mayor relative to this matter? No, members of the planning board. Ben, do you want to stop being chair? If you can just unmute yourself, Ben.
Excuse me. Council President, I didn't really have any comments. I'd offer it up to the other board members. We've been doing this for quite a while now. It all seems pretty clear to me, but if there are other comments, please bring them up.
Okay, Kurt Reader.
Yeah, so I had one question. Amanda, could you please clarify that the 2 parking spaces are pre-existing, or otherwise clarify it's not 2 additional parking spaces dedicated to the ADU specifically? Thanks.
Thank you. Amanda, could you answer that question, please?
Yes, 1 space is required for the ADU plus the space, whatever spaces are required for the primary home. So a single family requires 1.5 spaces, and an ADU requires 1. So that means 2.5 spaces. It would require 3 units, and then so on.
Okay, thank you. I did have one follow-up, and I think this may be a topic that you and I spoke about before. I just wanted to clarify the conversation about loss of trees. It's more conventional to talk about no net loss of caliper inches than it is one-to-one tree, because you end up comparing apples to oranges relative to the disparity between an old tree and a younger tree as a replacement.
Yes, and so it's no net loss of trees in caliper inches. It's been I'm just gonna pull up the ordinance.
That's fine.
Okay.
Thanks.
Any other member of the planning board at this point? If you're a member of the planning board, so I have to screen through 2 screens to get everybody. If you're a member of the planning board and you want to speak, just unmute yourself and say, Bob, I want to speak. So I believe all members of the planning board are all set with the ADU. Are we, any further member of the city council wish to speak on the ADU? Councilor Dibble.
Thank you, Mr. President. Can you hear me okay?
Yep.
Okay, that was weird. My whole screen just flashed and then you came back. So I thought I lost the whole meeting.
Nope, you're here.
Okay, through you to our planners.
Mm-hmm.
All right, let me start here. The comment from the mayor that what we've been building with 80% of the area median income is affordable, in my opinion, is not affordable at all. That brings us up to the area income is the Boston income level, and that brings Salem up to 93%, which 93% is, it's not affordable. So I'm excited that we're going to do something much lower in the second half of this meeting and do 60% or maybe even deeper. I don't know. Questions being, the in-law apartment that we have now, the ADU, the legal one that we have right now, requires family members or caregivers. That was written by Councilor Milo and myself and several seniors from the Council on Aging back in 2017 and finally passed in 2018. It's been on the books for a little while. That ordinance could be tweaked or changed, but it's in the R1 is a single family neighborhood, and that in-law ordinance allows family members to help other family members, keeping it a single family. So I think we need to have a discussion over this, because if we change the R1 zoning from single family to this, it means that basically every single family house in the city of Salem can now become 2 families. and every 2, 3, and 4 unit apartment buildings can add another unit. So my question, first of 3 questions to Amanda or to our city planner, is how approximately, you might not have the numbers in front of you, but approximately how many eligible housing buildings are we talking about here between the single families up through the 4 families in Salem? So what's the maximum, if everybody chose, every property owner chose to do this, how many units are we talking about in creating these ADUs?
Council, I don't know if that's a fair question because there's no way to determine that because you'd have to know which house was actually conforming or non-conforming on their lot, which house actually had the required number of parking spaces as required by zoning. I mean, I'll use my own house as an example. I share the driveway with my neighbor. I have half a driveway, so I have 1 parking spot, which technically, according to zoning, I should have 1.5. So that would mean if I wanted to turn my basement into an ADU, then I wouldn't be conforming and I'd have to go through a zoning process, a zoning board of appeals process. So to make a blanket suggestion like that, I think you can't put Amanda on the spot and say how many single family homes are in the city of Salem and whether or not they conform or not, and whether or not they all were to join, because it's which ones are eligible and not eligible, which ones would have to go through the appeal process.
No, Mr. President, with all due respect, that's not my question at all.
Okay.
Because for your house, for instance, you can get a variance or a special permit, a variance rather, to avoid the number of spaces or the size. A special permit could be worked out, or variance could be worked out for almost anything here. Okay, Salem is pretty welcoming and allows homeowners to do a lot of things to their properties. So the question is, how many houses do we have in Salem? Because in fact, each and every house in Salem that is 1, 2, 3, and 4 families could request this ADU.
Okay, that's a more specific question. That isn't the question you initially asked.
That is the question I asked, Mr. President. How many houses do we have in Salem that could apply for this? Was my question. Approximately.
I'll get back to you with that answer. I don't have the number of houses in Salem on hand. I will know that renovating a basement or any portion of the home costs between $40,000 and $80,000. So it's an expensive thing on top of the process. So it's unlikely that it's actually would never happen that every home in Salem would create an accessory dwelling unit, but I'll get that number for you.
I didn't want the exact number, Mr. President. I'm just asking for a ballpark number. Let's say it's 10,000 for round numbers. I don't know what it is exactly, but I'm in the ballpark, I believe. Is that safe to say? Maybe the city planner can address it then.
Matt, you know that answer?
I don't have the number of single family duplexes, triplexes, and quads in the city to tell you, Councilor Dibble, but we can get that information for you.
Okay, well, for the purpose of
a better recommendation, can we check with some of the other communities around us who have ADU ordinances and then get a number of units that have been created? So it'd be more of an apples to apples comparison rather than just arbitrarily saying how many units could do it, because this is a costly endeavor. So therefore, I think that would give a better sense.
Council Dibble still has the floor. Then I will recognize the next person.
Thank you, Mr. President. I appreciate that. Let's say there's 4,000 single-family houses and 4,000 two-families and a bunch more of 3 and 4 families. And for purposes, because we don't have the exact numbers, we don't need the exact numbers, but for round numbers, we'll say 10,000 eligible properties in Salem, approximately. I might be off by 2,000, but we're in the ballpark anyway. Of that, if every property decided to do this, and let's say we had 2 people living in each, some might be a small family, but on average 2, we're talking 20,000 more people moving into these units in total, if everybody's decided to do this. Obviously, everybody's not going to decide to do this. It's going to be some number significantly lower than all the units. But I could do it at my house with my existing footprint pretty easily without any changes. Somebody else can put a house in their backyard. In a single family neighborhood, you can build, assuming that you're going to meet the zoning, you can build a second house, smaller house, but a second house in your backyard, and now you have two houses on the same property. That would be allowed. You can do it in your basement, your attic, on and on. And then on top of it, if you choose to, you can get a tax break on this and not pay any taxes on that unit or on that second house, if you would, on those improvements. So no taxes on that improvement if you chose to make it affordable. So I'm wondering, who's going to pay for the services that these people that will be living in those houses, who pays for the services? The children going to school, etc. Without any real estate taxes on that, it means that the rest of the population of Salem has to pay for that affordable unit. And if it's 10,000 or 20,000 people and everybody decided to do that, that's a huge expense to the city of Salem. So we might talk about capping the number of affordable units on there. I'm not sure, but a discussion needs to happen on that. I'll yield for now. Thank you.
Councilor Madore.
Thank you, Mr. President. I feel like we've answered this question the last time that we went through this process. There is a report that was released by Amy Dane, who is an expert in this area. She had studied all the communities in the state of Massachusetts that have adopted some version of the accessory dwelling unit ordinance, either by right or special permit. It was released in June of last year. And there's a table of all the communities who have adopted this ordinance to see how many ADU units were actually produced as a result of their version of the ADU. And generally, it amounted to no more than 5 or 6 units per year over a course of 3 to 5 years. So I think we might be exaggerating when we say that we're going to have tens of thousands of single family homeowners come out and willingly spend tens of thousands of dollars in investment to put in a rental unit in their home and go through this process, and also take on a deed restriction on their property to provide an affordable unit for a family in need. And I think that's all great, but the economics just don't work in that direction. So I'm happy to send that link out to everyone to just look at some of the precedents that have been set, and also to compare how some of the different versions of ADU ordinances throughout the state have affected communities in terms of density and how many units were produced and the benefits of that of an ADU ordinance.
Thank you. Amanda, you have to unmute yourself.
Thank you. You missed me. I was.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Okay.
We'll go Amanda first. No, go ahead, Amanda. Amanda, just with a follow-up to that, you alluded to earlier that there was a list of 37 communities, I believe, and around. Could you get us that list of communities so anyone wants to go look at what they're doing, do we know which 37 we're looking at? Thank you.
Yeah, that's actually pulled from Amy Dane's report that Councilor Madore referenced. And I also wanted to pull up the number from that report. Municipalities without residency restrictions granted 1 permit for every 1,000 homes during a 3-year period. And so, it ends up being about 1.8 homes every 3 years.
Thank you.
Welcome.
Council Turiel.
Thank you, Mr. President. I guess I appreciate the hyperbole that the Ward 7 councilor brought to those numbers. Yes, theoretically, every 1 single family homeowner, every 2 family, every 3 family, could, I guess, theoretically try and build, and then we could build 8,000 more units in the city suddenly. I also think it's pretty obvious that that is hyperbole, and we're only looking at small numbers, most likely. The point I want to make to this is everybody, just because you can build an ADU on your property doesn't mean you want to, doesn't mean you're going to. And I'm going to use myself as an easy example. I have a single family home that's in an R2. I could, by right today, split this house and turn it into a condo, build a rental unit out of this. I could do this today by right. I don't. If it was a single family zoning, I wouldn't have the setbacks to do anything. I'd have to go special permit, and I don't really have the room to do that. So there's a lot of houses that just by location, by density, by all sorts of factors are already precluded from doing this, realistically speaking. There are also a lot of people who may apply to try and do this, who may apply to build a standalone ADU. But again, we're talking about units that maximize at 1,000 square feet, period, and only by right at 800 square feet, which is a fairly small unit, are linked to the master property by deed forever, cannot be split into two properties, so it's not a full second house on a lot. You know, I'm not saying that what we have before us in this measure is absolutely perfect and needs no tweaking or adjustment whatsoever, but the fundamental premise here is very, very sound. We have some demand for ADUs. They will, as they do in other markets, they will alleviate some pressure on our rental market, which has been very problematic for a lot of people. And it's not the only answer, but it will advance the ball somewhat. And at minimal, if any, risk. We're not going to have a situation where 10,000 people come into deed-restricted, tax-free properties and flood the schools. What we might have is, and I'm being completely realistic, we might have a couple of dozen a year of these built for a while, if the market demands it. And if people are willing to make that investment in their properties to build the unit and to take the risk of renting it. So, I think fundamentally we're in a pretty safe place with this, but this does need a lot of look before we are ready to move forward.
Thank you. You all set? Councilor Hapworth.
Yeah, I think it's also important just to point out that this isn't a top-down mandate. This is a bottom-up right that we're talking about right now. If 10,000 people in the city of Salem want an ADU, that means that, or 10,000 households, that means that a lot of people in Salem want ADUs. If people in certain neighborhoods are against ADUs, they won't be built there. It also isn't something that's innovative in Salem or in any community right now. This is something that has happened throughout human history, really, or especially throughout Salem's history, is that neighborhoods have grown incrementally over time. They've adapted to needs within the market. This is just something that eases that demand a little bit. We have right now a fire hose of demand in Salem. There's so few areas where we can build that when it gets built, and it's too big. It's frequently maybe not attractive in certain neighborhoods, and it generates a lot of pushback towards housing. This is something that's bottom up. It helps people who already live here in Salem, and I think that it's a way to get towards a gentler density in Salem and a different growth pattern that we haven't seen in recent years, and add to some affordability. So I just think it's important to talk about that, and it's not. This isn't something where the city of Salem is saying every neighborhood is now R2. It's saying that every homeowner now has the ability to add some additional income and make some money off of their biggest investment. Thank you.
Thank you. Any other member of the city council? I'll check over here. Let's see who's over here. Seeing none. Any other member of the planning board?
Councilor Flynn wanted to speak.
Who did?
Councilor Flynn.
Councilor Flynn. I'm sorry, I missed you. There you are. Councilor Flynn.
Thank you, Council President. Through you to Amanda or Tom, I've mentioned before, I've had a lot of people reach out to me. Up in Ward 4, there's a lot of single-family homes, a lot of R1 neighborhoods. And there's a lot of people concerned that when they purchased their homes and made their investment into Salem, they specifically looked to live in an R1 neighborhood. This is what they wanted. Did you both ever consider taking R1 out of this ADU plan at all?
Tom or Amanda?
No, we did not consider taking R1 out. The current ordinance is actually limited to R1 right now. And so that would be going against what it would be a drastic change from what's already sort of been vetted, in that, you know, people want the opportunity to create accessory units in their single family homes, and the R1 will still be an R1 zone. These are accessory, they're not second units.
Okay, thank you. And like I said, my constituents, the majority of them that are reaching out to me do not want this. And they feel that it's not what they signed up for. And, but I appreciate you answering the question.
Council McCarthy?
Council Sergeant, you're all set, Council Flynn?
Thank you, Council McCarthy.
Council
Mr. President. Yeah. Seeing the numbers that are proposed, it seems like a small number of units to put the city through this much zoning change as far as what we're going to gain as far as number of units, as far as average from other cities and towns. It seems like something to be more suited for Marblehead, Hamilton, Wenham, Swampscott, Oxford, Topsfield, those kind of areas where there's very little rental housing. It doesn't seem so much suited to me for a Salem, Beverly, Peabody, or a Lynn, where there's already many rental units. We're currently around 50% rental units. We're looking for affordable housing here, and we're at 12.5%. We're 15th best in the state at providing affordable housing. We're better than 336 other cities and towns at doing it. And I really believe Salem's doing their fair share of providing affordable housing. And recently I was Googling populations, and the population of Essex County has increased about 50,000 people from the figures that go from 2010 to 2018. Now, if you average 32 cities and towns in Essex County, that's about 195 people average per year. Now, granted, Rowley's going to be less than Salem, so let's say we're going up 250 a year. That to me doesn't seem like that large of a population explosion in Salem. That might just be average about our own people being born in Salem, because some people leave. So those numbers don't show quite the housing crisis that we seem to be having. And those small numbers we're going to gain on these affordable units to change, in some ways, different neighborhoods from R1, which were a very small number of R1 neighborhoods, into somewhat of R2 neighborhoods. Seems like we're not getting a lot of a net gain for all that we're going through on this. And with that, I'll yield. Thank you.
Any other member of the City Council? Council Prosnowski, then Council Dominguez.
Mr. President, it appears to me that the ADUs would favor the seniors to be able to still stay in the city in a smaller apartment, and also some of our younger families that are looking to move in would still be able to afford to move in. So I think there's a larger aspect to this than just the numbers and the population. Salem is a very desirable city to be in. It's not Raleigh, it's not Hamilton and Wenham. We've seen a huge influx. We've seen our property values go up, and we've seen gentrification because of this. I think the ADUs are an important part of keeping the stability and the culture of our city by letting our seniors have a place to stay, and having some of the younger families have a place to start. Thank you.
Thank you. Council Dominguez.
Thank you, Mr. President. My comment was kind of related to what Councilor Pronasco just mentioned. I think that we see what we live in right now. We live in a crisis, but before this crisis, we have another crisis, which was actually about bringing us to discussing some type of alternative to the growing population that we have in Salem. I had to say that I'm coming from a community that represents the most needed one for affordable housing. And I was not in favor of the first proposition that was bring to us because did not have the components of affordability. I see it right now, and I think that we need to make sure that we at least alleviate some of the situation. Might be one family, two family, that we can provide that to. That's going to be very helpful. I see people living Salem mainly every day before this crisis, and I think that one of the councilors mentioned after the crisis is going to have a bigger crisis too that we need to make sure that we address, and we need to make sure that we have the human aspect and bring some type of solution, alleviations for 1 or 2 families so they can continue to live where they wanted to live in Salem. I have many people, young, elderly, and all kind of people live in Salem because they cannot afford to live. We can provide some type of alleviation in a way that maybe it's not going to be too comfortable for everybody, but the time is saying that we need to adjust to make sure that we appropriate solutions to the most needed one. In this case, the low income, the elderly population, and some veterans and some other type of community. So if we can find a solution, we can find a middle ground to make sure that we can provide that solution. That's the perfect scenario. So we need to be open to that. And I encourage everyone to open their mind into that vision, because I think that's basically who we are as human beings, but this is basically who we are as a city. And I mentioned that before. I came to Salem many years ago and I found a place to live. I want to provide the same opportunity for other family to stay in Salem. And the only way we can do it is by sacrificing something. Maybe we had to sacrifice the way we live in. And I think this is a great example. We are in a situation right now that anybody was expecting. Things are going to change from now on. Going to change for good or for bad, but those are going to be the same. And we need to make sure that we be proactive and try to help all the family. Thank you.
Thank you.
Excuse me,
Hold on, DJ. One second. Any other member of the city council? Seeing none. DJ.
So I just want to just kind of frame this for a second, because I'm hearing, I see that there's some kind of, potential angst against this ordinance again, some of the same things we heard from last time, but I'm hearing kind of 2 arguments against this that I just don't fully understand. One being, let's imagine, let's try to imagine if every house did this, how many additional units that would create. And then on the other hand, I'm hearing, well, we're not actually getting that many people, so it wouldn't necessarily benefit the community to actually do this. So it's either one or the other. It can't be both. And I just wanted to point that out, that either everybody is going to do this, like people think, and we're going to create all of these new units and completely change R1 zones, or we're going to implement this and it's not worth it because there's not enough people moving in here into the Essex County, into Salem, to make it worthwhile. So just wanted to point that out, that I'm hearing kind of these 2 arguments that are being put forward, but they don't meld because you can't have one and the other at the same time. So just wanted to throw that out there. Thank you.
Thank you. Any member of the planning board? Let's go this way. Seeing none. At this point, I just, for the record, I would be, we're going to open it up to the public, but at the end of the first part of the public, SATV, for some reason or other, wasn't continuously scrolling the phone number, so I would be supportive of continuing this to another date at some point to make sure that anyone who was watching SATV and didn't hear my announcement of the phone number and wasn't able to write it down, it would be continued. But I think that since we're all here, we might as well open it up and see what happens, and then we'll take it for a little bit. I don't think we're going to get to the other 2 items on there, because the first 2 items are relative to the table in section 3.1, which is council order number 74. And then, so these are the 2 matters we're actually taking up simultaneously as we speak about these. And the other one would be the council order number 75, the zoning relative to accessory dwelling units. So seeing no other comment, who's got a, did I mute myself? No, I'm still talking. Councilor Hapworth, did you have a question? Councilor Hapworth?
No, I was pointing out Councilor Madore had a question or a comment.
Oh, she's not down there on my screen. She's over there on my screen. Councilor Madore.
Thank you, Mr. President. I just want to make a suggestion. If SATV is not doing the scrolling, maybe one of us could put up the phone number on our screen, or
I just announced it. Maybe if I don't know where Eileen is. Maybe if Eileen wanted to write it down and she could log in under a separate person, or.
I think Mason already has that if he wants to put that back up.
Yeah, I'll go ahead and post it on the screen for everyone. There's a slide that explains the public comment section.
Okay, we'll give everyone We'll put it up for a minute so anyone at home watching on SATV can witness that number, and then we'll pull it down, and then we'll start the, actually, we can leave that up. Mason, can't we? If we do public comment, their picture's not going to appear, so we're just going to take them one at a time, right?
Yeah, we are, so we can leave it up.
Okay, cool. All right, Mason, if you will, let's start with the first member of the public.
All right, so I'm now unmuting telephone number that's ending in 599. Please also unmute your audio when I unmute you, and then you're going to let us know if you'd like to provide public comment or not. So I'm going to be doing that right now.
Specific to these two matters.
Yes. Okay, phone number ending 599. You're on, and if you can unmute your microphone, just let us know if you'd like to speak. Okay, we haven't heard anything, so we're going to go ahead and move on to the next phone number, and I'll be renaming this right now just so we know.
The next phone number we have is 978, starting with the area code 978, and the last three digits ending in 624. If you like to speak. Oh, there's a no comment on that.
Hello? Can you hear me?
624 is now back on. 599 is listed no comment.
Okay, so phone number ending 624. Would you like to provide public comment?
Yes.
Can you please provide your full name and your address for the public record?
John Casella, 8 Beckford Street.
Go ahead, Mr. Casella.
Yes, I find my greatest concern, and Councilor Dibble was starting to address it, is the strain on infrastructure, number one. But number two, the increased density. I think the mere fact we're having this meeting in this format is a tribute to the fact that we want to maintain social distance. And I'm just a little concerned that these proposals are going to result in increased density of the housing. And that has really been one of the issues that has been associated with the virus. And having just come back from Italy 3 weeks ago, their biggest problem is density. And New York City has the same problem. I'm just concerned that we're considering a proposal that is going to increase density of residents and create future problems. And I'm not even addressing the strain on infrastructure. It was good to see that there's some accommodation for parking, but our infrastructure is strained. Traffic, the facilities, and then we're sort of saying, well, this proposal isn't going to result in that many units. You know, I'm not confident in that. And that's why I'm very concerned with this proposal. Thank you.
Thank you. Mason, can we make sure that, like we did in the practice session, that he's now taken off the ability to speak?
Yes, I've muted and removed ability to speak during the meeting.
Perfect, thank you.
You're welcome.
Next up, please.
We're going to be going to phone number ending beginning 978 and ending in a 693. I'm going to unmute you right now. Would you like to provide any public comment? Again, phone number ending in 693. If you've been able to unmute yourself, please let us know if you'd like to provide public comment. Okay, we're gonna go ahead and move on to the next caller.
Adam Cookson, would you like to provide a comment? Sorry, Mason, go ahead.
Adam, are you there?
Somehow, Mason, you want to see?
Adam Kukin, are you there?
Can you unmute yourself if you're there?
Adams with SATV.
Okay. Get that.
Gotcha.
Okay, and now we're moving on to screen name Alan H 1954. I'm going to now allow you to talk, and you'll have to unmute yourself. At that point, let us know if you would like to provide any public comment.
I think there's a mistake. I didn't
Okay.
actually ask.
He's got no comment next to his.
For Alan?
No comment.
No comment. Okay. We'll disable you and move on to the next public participant.
Alice Merkel, if is up next. Mason.
Okay, Alice Merkel, we're going to unmute you now. Just let us know whether or not you'd like to provide public comment.
Yes, I would.
Thank you, Alice. If you can just provide your full name and address for the public record, and then you can provide your comment.
Thank you. My name is Alice Merkel, and I live at 28A Federal Street. And I would like to request that my statement of support and for the City Council meeting on both the ADUs and inclusionary zoning ordinance. With the inclusionary zoning ordinance, the 10% requirement for units being offered at 60% or lower of the AMI will bring a solid measure of affordability into planned developments with reasonable creative incentives for developers and traffic environmental concerns as well. The addition of ADUs has benefits of not only creating naturally affordable living spaces, being smaller in size, but also will help struggling homeowners be able to stay in their homes. There was also overwhelming public support for ADUs at previous City Council meetings I have attended during public comments. It will take many actions and initiatives to start addressing our affordable housing crisis, and we need to take every step we can towards this goal. Thank you.
Thank you, Alice. For the record, anyone else that's in the queue for a comment, if they wish to comment, if we could keep it specific to just the ADUs, please. Next up, please, Mason.
We're going to be moving on to Alvi Ibanez. I'm going to allow you to talk right now, and it'll be just 1 second. You've been unmuted. Please let us know if you'd like to provide public comment.
All right, thanks for the time. But at this time, I have no comment. I appreciate it.
Thank you, Alvi. All right, next we'll be moving on to Bonnie B. I'm going to allow you to talk right now, and please let us know if you have any public comment to provide.
No comment, thank you.
Thank you, Bonnie. All right, next we're going to an individual with a screen name Carol, and they have a Gmail address. I'm going to allow you to talk and unmute you, and please let us know if you'd like to provide public comment. Hi, Carol. If we've unmuted you, so you might have to allow the microphone on your phone. Let us know if you'd like to provide public comment. We'll give it 1 more second. All right. We're going to move on to the next comment. We have a couple Chris's on the meeting, so we're going to start with Chris, and you have an email that ends with Backyard Datus. I'm going to allow you to talk right now.
No comment, but good luck getting this passed.
Thank you.
Thank you, Chris. All right, next up is going to be another Chris, and you have a email ending in gmail.com. Gonna allow you to talk right now. Chris, I'm getting a message that because you're using an older version of Zoom, you need to be promoted to a panelist. So I'm going to try this right now. Just give us a second while we figure that out. Hi, Chris. Would you like to provide public comment?
No comment needed.
Okay, thank you. All right, next we're going to move on to screen name Chrissy D. I'm going to allow you to talk, and it'll be just 1 second while you allow your phone to unmute as well.
I have no comment at this time besides some disappointment in some of my counselors to choose to move forward. Thank you.
Thank you. Next, we're going to be moving on to Cynthia Nina Soto. Going to be allowing you to talk right now. And just let us know if you have any public comment.
Yes, I do have public comment.
Great. If you can just provide your full name and address for the public record.
My name is Cynthia Nina Soto. I live at 6 Laurent Road here in Salem. I am the president also of the North Shore Association of Realtors. We are the voice of real estate on the North Shore, representing over 1,200 local realtor members. And we encourage support for the amended zoning ordinance relative to the ADUs. By right, accessory dwelling units are a common sense approach to create more housing in already developed areas while not disturbing a neighborhood's existing character. By right construction allows residents to create much needed housing to the benefit of a wide range of Salem residents. Housing affordability is a major concern across the North Shore. By the nature of their size, ADUs are more affordable than average rental units and thus provide a needed housing alternative for the community. Many residents of Salem can benefit from by right ADUs, including seniors looking for additional income to stay in their homes, businesses hiring new employees, and young adults looking to remain in the city they grew up in. The North Shore Association of Realtors supports the proposal of the ADU ordinance, and we commend the City of Salem on its efforts to improve housing availability and affordability. I also wanted to add to the counselors to please remember that we have close to 200 homeless students in our school systems. And if anything at all, if we create housing for those students, you guys are doing your job, because those students are the future mayors, the future counselors. Those are the ones that we need to be definitely working for. So whether it's a lot or a little, every little bit counts. And trust me, right now, people are hurting. And I commend you guys for doing this and taking this on. So thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Cynthia. Next on the list is Dustin Luca, Salem News reporter. So I think we will move to the next.
Yep, thank you.
All right.
No offense to Dustin.
Say that again.
I said, no offense to Dustin. We'll skip it.
No offense. We're moving on to screen name Ellen with a Comcast email. And we're unmuting you right now. Just let us know if you'd like to provide public comment.
No comment, thank you.
Thank you. All right, next we're moving on to screen name Eric Duame. Apologize if I mispronounced that. I'm going to allow you to talk right now. Please let us know if you'd like to provide public comment.
Yep. Can you hear me? I have a quick little comment.
Yeah, absolutely. Please just provide your full name and address for the record.
Yep. Eric Duham, 15 Simon Street. I agree with Councilor Flynn. Residents who purchase houses in R1 zones, probably for a reason, and they probably want to be surrounded by other single-family houses. My comment would actually be, why not limit the ADUs to R2 and R3 zones? These zones are already accustomed to having a higher density of people. This should be especially easy if you already have off-street parking. If you have the off-street parking, it really shouldn't affect the neighbors adversely. I kind of think that's probably like an easy layup. And if you're afraid of everybody making these accessory dwelling units at once, maybe target it with the primary occupancy owners in R1, in R2 rather, in R3. I don't think there's probably 10,000 R2 and R3 primary occupancy owners. So that's the end of my comment. Thank you.
Thank you, Eric. Next, we have Fred B. Beshemer going to allow you to talk. And please just let us know if you'd like to provide public comment.
Yeah, hi, Fred Biebesheimer, 17.5 River Street. Can y'all hear me?
Yep.
Yes.
Yeah, so I have a couple comments. One is I am disappointed that this meeting actually happened. I think it's inappropriate to have had this meeting given all that's going on when I'm actually more worried about getting groceries for my family than anything else. But that being said, I have a couple comments on this proposal. A couple things. Councilor Madore raised some facts that we're talking maybe 5 or 6 units per year of additional units. So which raises the question: why are we bothering? Why are we spending 2 hours today? And hopefully, another comment is we should be continuing this meeting when everyone can participate in a meaningful manner. But why are we bothering? The second one is I'd like to echo Councilor Dibble's comments that it's a little disappointing that the planning department doesn't actually have facts for how many units could actually be created. I think that's showing that this hasn't really been thought through. Zoning changes, as were brought up earlier, are forever, and if yeah, sure, it could be 1, 2, 3 units per year, but it could be 10,000. And so we need to know what that number is before we make this decision. And then the final comment I have is on enforcement and how the rules get enforced. We have rules in place for Airbnb, for instance, and I know in my own neighborhood it's been a year plus enforcing one renegade landlord who is renting a unit who shouldn't be. And that's just one unit out of however many units there are in Salem. And so I question, once this gets put in place, how it gets enforced when it's sold, whether we have investors coming in and buying and pretending they're living in a building when they really aren't, how does it get enforced? I don't think we have the capability to enforce this, and if we don't have the ability to enforce it, we shouldn't be putting this in place in the first place. And those are my comments, and I'll yield to the next person. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Fred. Next, we'll be moving on to a username. It's Galaxy Tab A. It's with a Comcast email address. We're going to allow you to talk right now and unmute you. And please just let us know if you'd like to provide public comment. We're gonna go ahead and give you just one more second. Otherwise, we'll go ahead and move on to the next participant. All right. Excuse me. We're gonna move on. Hannah Yosi. I'm getting a little feedback. Is everyone else getting that too, or just me?
I got a little bit.
Okay.
Someone make their own music. Thank you.
Okay, Hannah, just press the unmute button on our end. You might need to allow your microphone to operate. Please let us know if you would like to provide any public comment. All right, Hannah, we're going to move on to the next person. And this might be a good time just to reiterate to anyone that's listening and maybe you've had some sort of connection issue through the Zoom app. You can dial the toll-free telephone number, and that number is on the screen. It's 888-475-4499. Again, the toll-free phone number is 888-475-4499. It's going to prompt you to enter the meeting ID number, and that's going to be 447-831-204. Again, the meeting ID number is 447-831-204. So if you are having any connection issues with the Zoom app, you can call that, and we'll try and get to your comment through the toll-free phone number. We're moving on to the next comment. Going to allow Jeff Cohen, screen name, to speak. And Jeff, please let us know if you'd like to provide any public comment.
I submitted an email to the counselors, and that will be my statement. Thank you.
All right, thank you, Jeff. Next, we're going to move on to a screen named Jenny Lynch. And I'm unmuting you right now. Please let us know if you'd like to provide any public comment.
Hi, yes, Jen Lynch, 38 Charles Street. I submitted an email that I'd like to be submitted to record on behalf of the League of Women Voters for the IZ. And with regards to the ADUs, as a personal citizen, I'd like to just support this ordinance. Thank you.
Thank you, Jen. We're going to mute you right now and move on to the next caller. Next person is John McCary. I'm going to unmute you right about now. Please let us know if you'd like to provide any public comment. We're going to give that just another couple of seconds just to see if you're able to connect. All right, it looks like there's no connection there, so we're going to move on to the next caller. All right, next we're moving on to a screen name Josiah Fisk. And you should be unmuted right now. Would you like to provide any public comment?
Yes, I would. Thank you. Can you hear me?
We can, yes.
Great. Thank you very much. First of all, if I may, I don't know how it is for other people, but currently the way the display that you have on the, I guess it has the number in it. That's the notice there, but it's not necessarily very obvious. It's in that you might. I didn't find it. In fact, I didn't need to find it because I'm online. But the number that you want people to look at is in the lower left paragraph of the notice that's being displayed. Just pointing that out because yeah, there we go. Perfect. Great. I didn't realize it was there. Okay, thank you. Yes, Josiah Fisk, 358 Essex Street, office address 10 Derby Square. Couple of comments. I did send an email in. It's a bit on the long side and the technical side, but it does catch some errors and some points where there are ambiguities in the language that I think it would be probably beneficial for all to fix. I know it's a bit tedious to do that, but I think it's well worth it. The time spent now to avoid heartbreak later on. I do support the intent of both of these ordinances 100%. And I find quite a lot to like in the way that the ADU one is written, especially if I think we can make a couple of clarifications. There are some areas in that where there are some loopholes, I believe. Maybe they are not loopholes, maybe it's intentional, but it's a little bit unclear, and I have put those in my email also. Situations essentially where someone could, that could result in, through sort of circumstance or through, let's say, chicanery of some kind, there could be a situation where you don't have, in effect, in practice, owner-occupied situations that could go on for a period of time. So that's addressed there. As far as the number of these, we've heard that in the past there's been very low activity in other towns, and I think in our city, where we've had the ordinance that we have right now, which, as has been noted, is a lot more restricted, both in terms of geography and in terms of eligibility. So, and then we've also there's been a discussion about what the maximum allowable would be, which I think both of these are good as data points. But to me, the crucial information is what is projected to be. I assume that the city has a projection for how much activity they expect. I think it would help a lot to know what that projection is. I believe Councillor Turiel mentioned a number, 10 or 20 a year, something like that, if I'm remembering correctly. I don't know if that was a for instance number or a number based on a projection. I don't have to know that right now, but I think it would be very helpful and reasonable to ask if there is an activity projection for the first several years of this. I know it's a hard thing to project, but I think that as a planning matter, that it's important, and as a matter of shaping public expectation, it's important. The last thing I want to say is I'm very glad that there seems to be support for continuing this hearing. I know that there are other people who will want to have a chance to comment who have not had a chance to comment, and I think it's important that that be permitted. I also, I really want to say that even though I have identified some issues with the language, and please forgive me, this is what I do for a living, is look closely at language, legal language, and see if there's any holes in it. It's a sort of a busman's holiday, I guess you could say, for me. But the point is that I haven't had a chance to really look, and I know others haven't either, to really look closely at the language in these, and to just make sure that there isn't anything amiss, any questions that really should be asked, should be brought forward in a public forum. So I think that's very important. If there is the ability to continue to submit comments, I think that's only fair, and I think it would be very helpful. I would very much appreciate it. That's all I have to say. Thank you for letting me comment.
Thank you. So we're going to move on to the next person in the list. That looks like it's going to be Kate Jordan. And we're unmuting you right now. Please let us know if you'd like to provide any public comment. Hi, Kate. Kate Jordan, would you like to provide any public comment? All right, we're going to go ahead and move on to the next person in the list. The next person is screen name Kim, and I'm going to allow you to speak right now. You should be unmuted if you answer any prompts. Would you like to provide any public comment?
Not at this time.
All right, thank you, Kim. All right, next we're going to move on to screen name Linda. And we're unmuting you now. Please let us know if you'd like to provide any public comment.
Yes, thank you. It's actually Tim Tim Jenkins at 18 Broad Street. No worries, my wife signed on for me. Thank you. First of all, I hope you're all well and stay that way. And thanks for allowing me to speak. Just really quickly, like many others, I wish we weren't here tonight having to handle this, but nevertheless, I would like to make the comment that if this moves forward, I think it'd be very helpful because of the diverse nature of the neighborhoods in the city. One would be that these units, if you do move forward, that they actually require a special permit review. And that's primarily because it's really hard to design anything that's one size fits all, cookie cutter kind of ordinance. And in this case, you really could be impacting particularly tight historic neighborhoods, for instance. They're not the only ones, but that are very tight. But I've been dealing with a property where literally the two properties are within a foot and a half of each other with no firewalls and whatnot. And I do think that it does require a building inspector's review and a few other factors to be taken into account. And if it is as projected, I think Councilor Turiel and Councilors Madore both thought it was a relatively small number. I don't know what the number was in the existing ordinance, but if it's a dozen or 2 dozen a year, I don't think it would be overloading either the zoning board of appeals, or I would have thought they were reviewing it for the special permit, but if not, the planning board, to make sure that a property is suitable for this, particularly if it's going to be a new unit, a new addition, even if it's sharing utilities and whatnot, and can't be subdivided. But in terms of these really tight properties, I understand that you can infringe on the setbacks and whatnot, but there are certain neighborhoods where even an addition would be quite impactful. And particularly with loss of, additional parking, possibly loss of what little green space there is in some of the tight neighborhoods, losses of trees you've anticipated, but not necessarily yards. So I think the special permit route is probably the best. And that also puts, to some degree, a little bit of the onus on whoever wants to do this, that they are really complying and can show that they're complying with the underlying intention of the ordinance, which is to limit, I would say, we want to create additional affordable housing, but to limit the impacts where possible, unintended or otherwise. So thanks for letting me comment. Appreciate it.
Thank you, Tim. I just want to let everyone know that there's a little over 10 individuals left in the list that haven't been, that we haven't gone to yet. So just give you a sense of time.
Thank you.
Next, we'll be moving on to Lori Stewart, and we're unmuting you right now. Please let us know if you'd like to provide any public comment.
Yes, I'd like to provide public comment.
Can you please provide your full name and address for the record?
Laura Lee Stewart, 7 Barnes Road. I just want to speak in favor of the ADUs. I know there were some issues brought up when this came before the city about ensuring that all of them would be decreased, and with the additional loans and tax incentives, I feel like this addresses some of the concerns when this came up last time, and I really support this ordinance. I feel like any small gains in affordable housing in Salem right now would be critical. So good luck on this passage of the ADU ordinance. Thank you.
Thank you, Lori. We're going to move on to the next person on the list. Now we're down to Meg. Sorry, 1 second. All right, Meg, would you like to provide any public comment?
Yes, I would. Meg Toohey, 122 Federal Street. I want to support the comments that Fred Biebersheimer made. And I also will think that Tim Jenkins' suggestion of a special permit is particularly appropriate, given, in fact, the enforcement issues we've had around Airbnbs. I also have a couple of questions. I'm confused. There is an ordinance attached to the agenda tonight, but the website says that a full text of the ordinance will be provided soon. So is what's on the agenda actually correct? Or is there some other zoning ordinance that we can review coming soon? And I do join with others in requesting that the meeting be continued so that we have an opportunity to really look at this carefully and do a good job with it. But I would like an answer to my question, please.
Everything on the agenda was what is currently in front of you. I'm trying to find the word soon, Meg. So if that was written somewhere that I did, can you point me to where that word is? Maybe off
the website says the 3 zoning ordinances will be posted in their entirety.
That was when I posted it on, I'm sorry, on Thursday. I didn't have it up and ready yet. So
Okay.
I apologize. But everything that was posted afterwards, the newest agenda on there has it. So, and it is included in that coming soon. So I apologize. I didn't take that word out, but it is complete as is.
Thank you for that clarification.
You have to unmute yourself.
Thank you, Councilor McCarthy. We're going to move on to
Your
the
lips moving, but nothing was coming out.
the perils of Zoom.
Yeah, exactly.
We're going to
No
move
worries.
on to the next participant in the list. And that's going to be Melissa Stockbridge.
Hi, yes, thank you. My name's Melissa Stockbridge, and I live at 22 Oakland Street. And I want to thank you for the opportunity. I am a single-family homeowner here in Salem, and I also have a unbuildable lot that I also pay taxes on attached to my property with a carriage house on it. I am one of those people that would consider putting in an ADU on my property. One, because affordable housing is really important to me. I do a lot of volunteering in the city for affordable housing causes. In addition, I believe in an R2 zone, surrounded by multifamilies. But my house is a single family. I believe in affordable housing, and I would like the opportunity, certainly, to be able to provide that for somebody. And thank you very much.
Thank you.
All right, we're going to be moving on to the next person on the list. It's Michael Kraft, and we're unmuting you right now. Please let us know if you'd like to provide any public comment. We'll just give you another second there. All right, Michael, we're going to go ahead and move on to the next person in the list. Next, we have Nicole McLaughlin. I'll be prompting you to be unmuted now. Please let us know if you'd like to provide any public comment.
Sure, I would like to.
Thank you.
So Nicole McLaughlin, 4 Roosevelt Road in Salem. I just want to go on record as strongly supporting this. I live in an R1 neighborhood. I love my neighborhood very much, and I have no worry at all that if this passed, it would suddenly change the character of that neighborhood. I do have some worries about the changing character of Salem if we actually don't create more affordable housing, and if we don't pursue whatever creative means are available to us. Our community becomes more and more expensive, and that changes who we are as a culture. It changes the character of the city that I love. I also have no reason to believe that if this passed, there would be a huge rush to build them. I have no reason to think we'd be different from other communities that have passed this. And I find some of the calls for numbers of how many might possibly be built, looking at 10,000 or 15,000. Frankly, I hear that as a scare tactic, and really don't appreciate it. So I just want to go on record, like I said, as strongly supporting this. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. We're going to be moving on to the next person in the list. And that's going to be Patrick McGuire, and we're unmuting you right now. Just let us know if you'd like to provide public comment.
Mason, he's still showing muted.
So I've pressed unmute. It could be that you need to allow your microphone on your phone. There you go. It looks like that worked. Patrick, are you there? I'm not hearing anything from Patrick. Give that one more second. Okay, we're gonna move on to the next participant. And the next person, it looks like, is Patrick Kennedy from SATV Online. So we're gonna go ahead and skip you. And then next is screen name Pavel. And we're gonna unmute you right now. Just let us know if you'd like to provide any public comment. All right. We'll go ahead and move on to the next person. Again, I'll just repeat for anyone that was trying to connect through the Zoom app, if you had any issues, you can call the toll-free number at 1-888-475-4499. Again, that's toll-free number 1-888-475-4499. And then you'll be prompted to enter the meeting ID, which is 447-831-204. Again, that's meeting ID 447-831-204. If you call that, we'll try and get around to you later in the public comment.
Mason, how are we doing? How many more people are left?
Not too many. I'll have to count in just 1 second.
I show 3.
What was that, Eileen?
3.
3? Okay. And then there are some that have popped up in the meeting since then too.
3 more than that, then 3 other additional, so 6.
Okay. All right, next we're going to move on to Stan Franzine. Going to unmute you right now. Just let us know if you'd like to provide any public comment. All right, Stan, we're going to give you a couple more seconds, but then we'll move on to one of the next people on the list. All right, we'll move on. Next, we have Steve Kapanates. Going to prompt you to be unmuted now, and just let us know if you'd like to provide any public comment.
Yes, can you hear me?
We can hear you. Just provide your name and address for the record.
Steve Kapantis, 23A Wisteria Street, Salem, Mass. Good evening, councilors and planning board members. I thank you for this opportunity. The income limits described for ADUs are only enforceable if the homeowner takes advantage of the abatement tax or the loan incentive. And that's why the ADU ordinance, as currently written, does not promote affordable housing. In fact, the ordinance promotes housing at or above market rate. Simply put, the number one reason outside of an ADU for family use or in-law use is to generate monthly income to offset home ownership costs. As currently written, the incentives of a tax abatement or subsidized home loan are significantly less than renting an ADU at market rate, meaning a landlord will generate more revenue by not taking advantage of the incentives and just renting at market rate. In addition, a one-bedroom ADU in an R1 neighborhood with off-street parking and a yard would certainly fetch higher rent than a one-bedroom in an R3 neighborhood. Furthermore, the incentives of subsidized loans and tax abatements, as currently written, will be taken advantage of. If one is considering an ADU for their in-laws, parents, or even an adult child they would like out of the house, why would you not take advantage of a tax abatement and a home loan to build an ADU for a family member? If that family member meets the income criteria, the city would provide a tax abatement and a home loan for them with the use of others' tax dollars. Another scenario would be someone who's considering early retirement. Take the home loan and tax abatement and then move into the ADU yourself and rent the primary house at market rate. Again, if you personally meet the income requirements, you qualify for both the abatement and loan. Although the ordinance is an attempt to increase affordable housing, it promotes market rate housing or even higher. If the intent of the incentives of tax abatements and loans is to create affordable housing, the ordinance falls short. In fact, it promotes market rate housing and ADUs built specifically for family members that are subsidized by city tax dollars. I would hope that you would not support the ADU as currently written. Thank you.
All right, thank you, Steve. I think we only have 4 more left to go through. Next, we're going to move on to William LeBlanc. And you should be able to unmute now. Let us know if you'd like to provide any public comment.
I have no comment right now.
All right, thank you very much. All right. Next, we're going to move on to a list of, it looks like 4 phone numbers that haven't spoken yet, and then maybe 1 other Zoom app user that joined a little late. So next, we're going to move to phone number starts 978, and the last 3 digits are 275. I'm going to allow you to talk right now. Would you like to provide any public comment?
Hi, Mason. It's Tom Daniel. I just got bumped off of Zoom, so I called in and am reconnecting to Zoom. So that's
all right. Thank you, Tom.
Yep.
All right. Next, we're going to move on to phone number beginning 978, and the last 3 digits are 686. You should be able to speak now. Please let us know if you'd like to provide any public comment.
Yes, can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you.
Can you hear me? Oh, okay, good. Because
was on Zoom, and then when you unmuted me, for some reason you couldn't hear me, so then I went to the telephone. My name is Carol Carr. I live at 7 River Street. A couple of questions. I'm concerned about who's going to oversee and enforce all of the AUD rules. It's not just the building of the unit that has to be looked over by somebody, but the demolition of the ADU, I guess, has to take place when the unit ceases to be used. Also, who is going to make sure that the principal owner is actually residing in one of those buildings? Is this going to be pitting one neighbor against another neighbor, where a neighbor says, hey, you don't have, you're not living there, you're living in Florida, and now you're renting out both of these units. So is that going to create some kind of a problem? Already one caller said, well, he bought in an R1 neighborhood and he wanted to keep it that way. And I agree with that. However, just because I live in an R2 neighborhood does not want to mean that I want it in my neighborhood too, because my R2 neighborhood is now going to become an R3 neighborhood, and I don't want that. And then, as other people have said, if you don't have an ADU, isn't there a process right now where people can do something similar? Maybe go through different hoops, but the end result might be the same. And somebody else mentioned about density and the strain on infrastructure. I have a lot of problems with that. And as far as providing affordable housing, what about all the housing that's taking place now? You've got developments on Goodhue Street, Boston Street, the former Flynn Can site, the Hood Ice Cream Factory. You got Salem Suede, Salem Oil and Grease, the former Sylvania site, the former District Court, the hotel on Dodge Street, Canal Street has a number of units going up, former St. John's School, the Ferris site, HMA, former Knights of Columbus building, Sports Haven, Magic Muffler, St. James School, the Immaculate Conception. Maybe if those developers were required to have more affordable housing than what they have now, are required by the city, maybe if we required them to have more affordable housing, that might be a way of doing it, rather than changing all these rules for what appears to be maybe 5 or 6 people that are going to be of benefit if your projections are correct. And also the character of the neighborhood, I'm concerned about that. Who is going to decide whether, hey, that looks good in this neighborhood and it doesn't? What if the neighbors don't like what somebody else likes? I just think there are a lot of problems for so few benefits. I also would hope that you would continue this hearing so that people like me who may have gotten cut off originally, didn't realize that they could call back or something like that, that they would have a chance to say something. And I also think it needs more studying. I guess that's all. That's it.
Mason, you have to unmute yourself.
Thank you. Thank you, Carol. We're going to move on to phone number beginning 978, and the last 3 digits are 830. You should be allowed to talk now. Just let us know if you'd like to provide public comment.
Yes, I would.
Just provide your name and address for the record.
It's Mary Whitney, 356 Essex Street, Unit 2.
Thank you. Go ahead.
I just want to say I appreciate all of you trying to move the city business forward in a state of emergency. I had a concern that I voiced before the meeting to some of the counselors about the fact that the fair segment of the public wouldn't be able to participate. And people who are participating tonight are obviously having some technical difficulties. So I support the request by many to continue the hearing. And I also agree with a lot of the previous comments that I think the ordinance needs more work. And I too echo the previous caller's question as to if we're really trying to get more affordable housing in Salem, why or how are we requesting of the developers that are building now to include affordable housing in those projects rather than having the R1 neighborhoods trying to solve the problem and the R2s, R3s, R4s? And that's it. Thank you.
Thank you very much. So I believe we just have one other individual that we haven't gone to, and that's, they have a screen name of Andrew. We're gonna allow you to talk right now and unmute you. Please let us know if you'd like to provide public comment.
Sure. My name's Andrew Megan. I live at 65 Dearborn Street. I agree with, I think it was Steve Kapantis earlier about the math behind what will motivate people to build these ADUs. This is not going to solve the price of housing in Salem, unfortunately, and it just opens up too many doors for opportunistic folks to basically attach $250,000 additions onto their houses. It's not going to fix the price of a house. I think that the buy right provisions, which are basically the pieces that if you can include them in your project, such as parking, such as entryways, and a couple other components, it's far too loose, and it would make it so that the neighbors have absolutely no control over what gets built in basically their backyards. So with that, I agree with everyone who says this needs a lot more work. Thank you.
Thank you. So with that, I believe we've gone to everyone that's been on the line. So I'll hand it off to you, Councilor McCarthy.
Thank you, Mason. Could you pull down the announcement so we go back to full screen? Thank you. Oh, look, there you all are. So with all that being said, first of all, I want to thank every member of the two boards and every member of the public who participated and tried to participate. I mean, obviously, I think that we saw that there was a few glitches, and I wouldn't want anyone to think that the intent was not to let everyone be heard. I think that we processed a lot of information tonight, and we processed a lot of people that participated in. Some people we've never heard from before, and some people that obviously had some issues with some of the technology. So I think that's going to be a learning curve for all of us. I think it was a learning curve for the council in our first meeting. I want to thank Mason for all his efforts, keeping us in line. I want to thank Eileen for spending the time. We had a practice session earlier today. I know that Mason and Eileen have been going back and forth for the last 3 or 4 days relative to making sure this tried to be smooth process. I think for the most part, I would have to say that it was handled fairly well, even though I know there was some objection to starting the meeting and allowing the presentation. But at this point, I think that just because of some glitches and the fact that SATV wasn't broadcasting that number, I would probably at this point entertain a couple motions.
President?
Who was that? I'm sorry, I didn't hear that.
That would be Ward 5.
Oh, Council Turiel, thank you. Oh, there you are down there.
It's way bigger than the typical Brady Bunch meeting that we have.
Yeah, I got to keep hitting the arrow button.
Thank you, Mr. President. So if I'm looking at the calendar, and I think what we need to do as the next step in this, I still think, it's getting kind of late to start working through the inclusionary zoning portion. I would move at this point that we continue these out to a date certain. Unless there's a reason not to, I would go for Monday the 13th to continue this with the inclusionary zoning and start the public process there. And then from there, we can determine what and how we can continue these meetings any further. But I would like to get this next part of the whole package started sooner than later. And then we can determine how to work through the rest of it. So my motion, unless somebody has a reason to do otherwise, would be to continue to a date certain of 7 p.m. on 2 weeks from now on the 13th.
Second. That would be April 13th?
April 13th, correct.
Just for the clarification, would you want all three matters moved to there, or would you just?
I would keep these on the agenda. I would keep all these on the agenda. I would want to start with inclusionary zoning, since we did not really have time to address that tonight. And then we can see where the discussion leads us to and bring and extend further, or whatever else, we want to do as two bodies at that point.
Okay, we can work out those details, but I guess your motion would be to move all three matters, to continue the public meeting on all three matters to a date certain of April 13th at 7 o'clock. Anyone have any issues with that? I'll look to Amanda and Tom, knowing that they're going to have to be available. But I mean, I will say that Tom gave me the thumbs up. He's available. I will recognize Councilor Dominguez. Amanda gave me the thumbs up. She's available. Councilor Dominguez.
Thank you, Mr. President. Question for clarification. So what the good Councilor Ward 5 proposes that to continue with the public hearing on the 13th and allow to the public to speak on the other two matters that is in front of us. That's a question that I wanted to see.
Correct.
That would be correct.
All matters.
Obviously, we talked about the two matters relative to the ADU. The question will be, which we'll work out, would be whether or not we'd want to finish up the public hearing on that, answer some of the questions, and then bring in the whole inclusionary piece, or whether we do that first. So we'll work out the logistics of that, but all three matters would be referred to a meeting in 2 weeks, if that's acceptable to everyone.
Yeah, Mr. President.
Ben, have you looked at any of the members of your board? Is that a problem with you guys? Matt's giving me the thumbs up. Helen's giving me the thumbs up.
I'm good with it. I'm going to rely on the board members to speak up if they have an issue.
Bill Grissett gave me the thumbs up. DJ gave me the thumbs up. Matt Vino finished dinner. He's giving me the thumbs up.
Mr. President, my hope is that we can close them all at the same time when we're to keep all the matters open till we're done, because that does the most for extending our window for being able to deal with this.
Noah gave me the head thumbs up too on their side. Kurt, are you all set with the 2 weeks? Kurt's giving me the thumbs up. I'll go.
Flynn.
What's that?
Councilor Flynn needs to be recognized, Mr. President.
Oh, wait a second. He's on my other page. Hold on. Sorry.
That's all right. Thank you, Mr. President. Yeah, is there another date we can pick? I cannot make that date. I don't know if anyone else has a problem with it.
Currently, no one else has a problem with it.
Okay. Thank you.
Thank you. Is that the case? Everyone else? I'm looking at Councilor Riccardi, Councilor Prosnowski. We're all set. Okay, good. Councilor Masillo, Councilor Hapworth, Councilor Medora is good. So it looks like that's the date. If everyone agree, Carol, you all set with that? She gave me the thumbs up. I like it when everyone gives me the thumbs up. Councilor Sargent, are you kind of looking like you're out of an Alfred Hitchcock movie? Are you all set back there? You're in the kind of the shadow.
I'm okay. I just would like to have a meeting where all the councilors could make it. So I want to just give a plug for Councilor Flynn to find a date he can make it.
I mean, I don't think this is going to end. The next one, I think this is the fact that we're using the Zoom platform and SATV, and we can all do this remotely from our homes, is actually beneficial to keeping these moving forward. So I will make sure that Councilor Flynn, he's pretty adept at Facebook, so I'm sure he can live stream the meeting the day after, or whatever commitment he has on that date, and then we can make sure that it doesn't get closed out at that point. So I think the inclusionary zoning part is a big part. I don't think we're going to have enough time to close it out, but I can't speak for everyone at that point. But all that being said, I'll entertain Councilor Turiel to put a motion on the floor to keep. Oh, Councilor Dibble has a question. Councilor Dibble.
Yes, thank you. Can you hear me?
Yep, I got you.
Yeah, I'm wondering if you might entertain, Councilor Flynn might be able to throw out a date that he might be available that might be suitable to all of us. And also, at our next meeting, there were quite a few, probably about half of the people who spoke up tonight. And I know there are others that wanted to, but were not able to get into the Zoom, or didn't know enough about Zoom, etc. I'm wondering if the city planners can do that. I think that whole presentation was just a matter of a couple of minutes. If they can do that presentation again when we get back to the ADU portion of it, so that those that missed tonight's meeting would be able to hear that presentation and might answer some of their questions along the way. And that you open it back up to public comment at the next meeting, so that those that could not be here tonight could speak up, and we might learn from some more. But clearly, the gist of what I've heard tonight is that there's more work needed to be done on this ADU ordinance. So the two matters pertaining to the ADU, I think, can be handled together. And the other ordinance, I think, is a separate issue. I like hearing them back to back, but it's a separate issue. So one can go forward on its own, and the other two with the ADU should parallel each other. So I think that we have two different tracks happening here of the three matters. The two on the ADU and the one separately on the affordable. Those are two separate issues. A lot of similar issues within it, but two separate issues, two separate tracks. They don't necessarily all three have to follow each other. Thank you.
Counselor, I understand what you're saying. I believe I alluded to that at the beginning, but I think for right now, if in 2 weeks' time we take all three of them up again, at that point, if we're not making traction on either one of them, I think that at that point we can consider separating them. But for right now, I think it's I will defer. I'm not in the same room with my good city clerk. With that, Eileen, does that give us enough time 2 weeks from now?
It's already been advertised, so I don't have to do any more advertising. Is that
okay? So we're all set. Okay. Council Flynn, do you have any other date relative to? I mean, obviously, I'm assuming you have a conflict. That's the reason why.
Yes, thank you, Mr. President. Any other day that week? There's a list of days. I just didn't know. I don't want to hold it up if everyone else is all right with that. So it is what it is.
One of the reasons why we picked Monday is because, I mean, currently I know the city's trying to get on more Zoom platforms. We're using one right now. We're all kind of sharing them around. So Monday's typically a night there aren't a lot of, there's more meetings during like Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday than there are on Mondays. I think licensing board is the only one. So
okay,
I think that's what I apologize for that, but we'll make sure you're up. We'll make sure if you have any questions, obviously you can submit them to any one of us and we can ask them on your behalf.
All right, thank you.
All that being said, on Council Terrio's motion that these three matters be referred to in the public hearing be kept open to a date of April 13th at 7 o'clock. Can I have a second on that? Council Dibble seconds. Thank you. All those in favor? All those opposed? The matter carries. They want to thank everyone tonight for their participation once again, and we'll see you in 2 weeks. Thank you very much.
motion to adjourn?
Thank you, Mr. President.
Motion to adjourn.
I make a motion to adjourn. Thank you. Council Sergeant, motion to adjourn.
Unmute. Motion to adjourn.
Council Sergeant moves to adjourn. We stand adjourned. Thank you, everyone. Good work tonight. Thank you.